So I want to talk a little bit more about these stories. It's just so important. These stories that we keep on going into in our own minds, the stories that we're telling ourselves, either telling ourselves stories that give us hope or tell ourselves stories of devastation. And these stories are what is causing us not to be present and also not to be present within the connection. Um, and not to be present on your path. It's we're looking for the higher meanings always. We're looking for um, signs when we start seeing the signs instead of actually being present in the moment. And this is caused by fear and feeling of inadequacy. So we are these stories when we are in the present moment, we are always checking what does it mean about me. So it's very egocentrical. So when we have these stories running, it's very egocentrical because we are in the middle of it. Instead of just taking things as they are, we're always looking at what does that mean for me. And that is a very egotistical way of going through life and going through, especially on this twin flame connection. The dogs are, you see, he's climbing the mountain over there. Especially on this twin flame connection that we have, when those of us that are on this twin flame connection, right, or on a twin flame connection, the stories, they are keeping us from being present in the moment within also any kind of contact with our twin because of that reflection that we are getting back, right, because of the reflection that we're getting back, and it's reflecting on us so strongly that we go straight into our wounds and we start applying meaning to every word that that other person is saying instead of just being um, present with them in the conversation wherever they are at. You know, if they're telling a story, we are finding other meanings within the story. We're finding many other meanings within the story. And then this creates, because it's touching stories that we have already going on inside of ourselves, of places that we are inadequate, that is getting reflected back to us through the stories. And so then we start going inward and trying to do, we get into that mechanism of where we are trying to hide our true selves or trying to present a different face, or we go into defensive mode. All of a sudden we get all defensive, and then they can't speak with us. Um, or we get jealous, or it's all about me, 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 me. And when you're doing that, then and it's because this is a reflective relationship, or it's not a regular relationship. And you see each other so clearly. That's what makes the dissonance, and that's why you have to be able to balance your own energy inwardly and come into your full power before you can even make the connection and make a connection that lasts. That's why we keep coming back and getting and bouncing back off. So we have to. It is necessary for us to balance our own inner energy, even for the connection to come to be. Otherwise, it just can't. It can't coincide. And if you are coming into a place with complete ease with yourself, you're coming into enlightenment. You're coming into knowing your divine self. That is why this connection forces us into a spiritual awakening. And once you can take things for as they are, that's why Vipassana has been so helpful for me. I went to Vipassana a couple of months ago, and I got a treasure load of tools in my toolbox, new tools, new shiny tools. So that was really, really helpful. And actually, it was my counterpart that gave me the advice to go to Vipassana. He is a guide for life. See, what I really think is that he is like a universal twin flame, because I'm not the only one across from him going through a twin flame enlightenment. I think that he is like the um, like the trump card, or like the wild card, or like a universal twin flame, let's say. Um, I also think that it's because he has done such a huge amount of the inner work, that he becomes a reflection like that, not only for divine feminine, but also for masculine as well. Whoever can withstand in that mirror can get that mirror from him. Um, if he decides, he does whatever he wants. And so I have I feel like it's the exact same dynamic. The dynamics are exactly the same as twin flames. That's why for so long I believed that I was only on a twin flame. And now I believe that it's um, like a universal twin flame. So I think that any divine feminine that meets him, or close enough to divine feminine that meets him, starts going through Kundalini, and remembering past lives, and through the twin flame process. So anybody who's watching this that isn't on the twin flame journey, um, I think that he would be a universal twin flame. So I think that, and it's almost like this twin flame journey. And see, I'm gonna start calling it counterpart for me. It just feels more correct for me. So whoever starts going through this counterpart um, journey, it is intense. It is intense. So I feel like I just handed out a loaded gun. Like, if you want to experience the twin flame journey, you can, turn this on if you're capable, if you're even there yet, because you have to be at a certain amount of purity before you can get ignited and thrown into um, a spiritual awakening, because otherwise you miss the cues. If you know be, It's just like us before we got on the spiritual awakening. All the signs and all the cues were all around us, but we weren't at the point of catching that perception yet. We weren't able to see that light yet. It was so far away from us that it wasn't relevant to us until until something either radical happened, like meeting a twin flame, or um, spontaneous, or traumas, or readiness, or starting, getting to a rock bottom and starting to pursue happiness. And then pursue. Once you start pursuing happiness, all the answers are inside. So that's where the starting point actually is. When you start searching for happiness, then you start searching within yourself, where all those little spots I need to get out. You start shining yourself on all the little spots, and it's like those napkins that just keep pulling themselves out. Once you get one part, it opens up a whole new can of worms, and then a whole new can of worms. You keep on going deeper and deeper, and as it goes deeper, it goes wider and wider, and you get or as it goes deeper, it gets sharper and sharper. Yeah, I mean, both are correct at the same time. And then you go through. I mean, how many times do we have to go through different parts of our ego death? Um, it's like your ego is full of, because your ego, when you're born, your ego is pure. It's a sense of I, right? But that's when we learn our sense of I, when we in conditioning, while we're being conditioned. um, we learn about from our parents, from experiences, from the consensus, from schools, from peers. All of these things and all of the experiences we go through, they give us the sense of I. And that sense of I sits in the ego. And sometimes the programming gets off, sometimes all the time. The programming that is put in initially when we're really young, this can happen even when we're infants. And that programming and conditioning that got put in there is faulty or based on something that we didn't perceive correctly, or based on something we were taught that was off balance, out of our nature. Our self-worth, for instance, I think that that is an epidemic. Self-worth is an epidemic. Otherwise, everybody would be walking around enlightened. So that was one of the first things that I realized when I started on my own spiritual journey about 11 years ago or so, when I uh, quit drinking alcohol and started going through my experience instead of, start coping. Um, One of the first things that I realized is, when I started seeing that the way that I'm looking at myself and afraid of public situations or situations with other people or meeting, in social situations, I was overweight. I weighed about as twice as much as I weigh now, and I'm just remembering that somebody told me a couple days ago that that was almost impossible to imagine, but it's true. And I was also drinking, so that added. Um, and one of the first things that I realized is that whenever I meet somebody in a social situation, I'm always looking at me. I'm always like, oh, what did they think of me? Am I overplaying over in my head things that I said? What do they think of me? I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I should have said that. I start going over this obsessive. And I realized that it was all because I felt inadequate, inadequate. And once I realized that, I started looking at it like, why? We were all born even. We were all born, and everything, anybody that looks down on me, if anybody really got into my thought process, they would be able to see that I'm a good person and that everything that happened for a reason. Yeah, and that judgment comes from the perception of the other person. Then I started thinking about perception. I was thinking, well, everybody perceives the world differently, and nobody was raised exactly how I was raised. I have a really unique childhood, and nobody was raised exactly as I am raised, so they have no idea what drives me. And so they have no idea why I choose the things that I choose. And if they took the time, rather than judging, if they came to me and asked me, I have the answers for everything. I would be able to explain to them. And then I started realizing that everybody's down in their own little hole worrying about what did they think of me? How did I perceive? Was I funny? And, it's different stories, but everybody's has this story. So it's more on the stories. And, and that totally released me in that place. I totally broke away from that place. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about what I do, because they weren't raised like I was. They have no idea what it is like to be me. And not only that, they're in their own movie. If I'm accepting them, if I like them, what I think about them, maybe I'm judging them. And so we're both having a conversation that nobody is present in the conversation. Each of the people is in their own mind and in their own stories. And when we meet this counterpart that is actually reflecting back to us all of those weakest places, something's going on in the mountain. There was maybe rocks coming down the side of the mountain over there. See, I'm right under that, which is a giant pillar that everything around it crashed, but it stayed. And that's the name of this valley. And so that was one of the first things that really hit me when I that I am the same as everyone. And then once I was able to see once I was able to get out of my own head and start looking at the other person to see if they're feeling, because you can see on somebody's emotions. So I stopped looking at myself being egocentrical, And I started looking to see if that person was being insecure, having insecurities. And it was almost like a veil was lifted from my eyes. It was everybody almost. Everybody almost. You could see their it was it was it was close to shocking, but it was also like really curious. It made me like super curious, like, what? Really? And then I started teaching myself when I would recognize somebody's point, I would start uh, teaching myself um, how to make them at ease in that point. I would see what their sore spot is, what the sore is there, and I would make them feel at ease right in that spot. And I'm still practicing, but that is how we heal. You get out of your own stories. You have to become present. There's a rock coming down. You have to get out of your stories. When you get out of your stories, you can actually see that other part and that other part. So it's exactly the same template with the twin. If you get out of your own head, you can start really seeing them. And you can start also through that knowing your own self, because you see what you say, what you see the behaviors that are causing the triggers, or um, you see them in pure love and forgive and without any kind of trying to be greedy over them or hold on to them or pull them to me. You just kind of want to give them that space, give them that love, give them what they need in those places. And that is when you can get out of your own greedy mind, right? Listen, I'm going through this process. I'm talking from knowing. So, it's the same dynamic that I am on is the same dynamic. And I'm doing my best to bring words to it through the pain, because I think that there's a value in understanding this. I think there's a value in whoever's going through this to hear this, because it gives you ease knowing that you're not alone. And it also gives me ease to be able to verbalize it and birth it into the world, make it come into being present, make it come into um, have my thoughts in this part of, because this journey is so freaking emotional, and there's so many aspects to it, and it goes and 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 goes. And it's so fast because it's like you get like 20 mirrors back to you, and you don't have time to process them. They all come in, but you emotionally you just can't you can't deal with them all at once, so, because you're still in the shock. And so then you start dealing with them one at a time. So memories keep coming up, but he said that, and it keeps on dawning on you, and it means this. And you start going through all these stories. You have to get rid of the stories. And then you come into being present, and then you're in service. It's coming from a completely different place. See, when we're worried, we're coming from, give me. We're coming from that place of lack. When we are in service, we are from that place of abundance. What can I do? And try to look at it from a mind sense of what is best for the situation, not what are my means. Because what are my means is also talking about lack. Okay, I can only give up to this certain amount, right? And I've fallen down that crack so many times. I was raised like that's like a crevice in my brain. I'm chipping away at it. And so this conversation is good. This monologue is good. Um, so then when you're looking clearly at a situation and from a place of pure service, what can I give here? What is the best outcome for the situation? What can I do to achieve that outcome? You know, how can I make this situation better? How can I make people feel good in the situation? And I don't mean by a way of making up excuses. What is the best outcome? So let's say maybe going through this twin flame process doesn't always feel good, but it's for the higher good, so that we're aiming and going through it for the feel good. Because at the end, every time we go over one of these hurdles and we overcome ourselves again, and we go through the dark night of the soul and the ego death, and then we lift ourselves out of it, all of a sudden everything is much more clear. I mean, it's still coming at you. It's still coming at you, like you can't stop it. Sometimes you get the little ones, and sometimes you get these big massive ones that are like life changing, and take like 3 months even to like sit in it. And still, we still keep on chasing. What is that all about? Chasing and what is that all about? Like, it seems like we would be able to just take it cool, right? It seems like, but I guess that's all part of it. I guess I guess that's all part of it. I actually have the answers for that, and I know it's. I'm just going off on a. I I, I know the answers for that. It all has to do with us rising into understanding that we don't have. We're that losing that desperate or unworthiness. I have to chase it in order to achieve it, or if I don't chase it, I'll lose it forever. Because it's exactly the opposite. You chase it, you lose it. And so it's coming out of that mindset. It's the same opposite, like from what can I get from the relationship? Oh, the stories in my mind. What does he think about me? What is does he see that? Why is he saying that? Get all offended, all getting all hurt, getting emotionally overwhelmed. Um, and what that's all about me, all about me, all about me, all about me. But when you get into, wait a minute, what are they feeling? Why are they saying that? What touched them where? Or, it's the same exact, it's turning it upside down. It's shifting the energy, shifting it from inward to outward. It's like making it from a minus to a plus. And so when you can do that and balance those two, that means that you can see but all of the perspectives all at once. That's those timelines coming down into one, because you can see all of the different perspectives, and you don't get lost in this story and in that story. You're aligning them all, and you can see them all happening at the same time, and at the same time you're disconnected from them. It doesn't matter if they're happening. It doesn't make you feel that you're at a loss or insecure in yourself, or once you get all those ducks in a row, they're in a row, and then the magic starts, because they're all aligned and they're all playing out simultaneously in perfect harmony and in a beautiful chord, and you're in love with life. And whatever your other counterpart is doing, they better have fun, because this time that we have here, this is a playground. Let's play. And to be on this twin flame journey, my God, my God. If we were given like the luck card, we were handed like the super duper Trump luck card. I mean, what a life experience. I know it's difficult. I know it hurts. I know but really, when we look down inside, I don't think that I've never seen a one of us really, really on the inside, really not want to be, not feel. There's a butterfly. It's a butterfly. Um, on the inside, I think that every single one of us feels privileged. um, and also the potential even of that higher divine love, the potential of it, being able to feel it, taste it. It's worth it. It's worth it. On my journey right now, I am going through, I've been in the thick of it now for about a week, close to a week, and really in the thick of it. And I think before that, I could feel it coming energetically. I knew it was coming. You know how we can can tell when something's coming. You can feel the energy shifting before the actual whatever happens in the physical world happens. We can already feel something's coming by the energy shift. And see, even for us to be able to feel that energy shift coming is a privilege, is a privilege. And then, see, what I'm going through now is feeling loss because I understood that I have to let him go. Like, really have to let him go. With love, just I have to let him go. Otherwise, I lose him for good. So, and I mean let him go, like just let him be. I have to just let him be and love and be happy for him in whatever he chooses. Because the holding against is the same as the chasing. It's still you're not let go. It's still in control of your life. And so right now, I have to let that go. But I mean, you can't do it superficially. It has to come from that place of understanding that there is no other way. And I can feel the pain of it in the pit of my stomach as I speak. I can feel the pain of it in the pit of my stomach, like it's big. And at the same time, I have a deep understanding that it's the only way that to come out of the pain, really come out of the pain, because the pain gets so unbearable that it's pushing out at every there it forces itself out of you. It's like going through a birth. You can't stop the pain. Before that, we're running away from the pain, going as we chase, we deny, we tell ourselves stories, we and all of our life seems to revolve around holding those stories in place because it's just so overwhelming. Um, but at some point, all the stories lose all credibility. It's like they just dissipate. You don't have the stories anymore and everything just becomes so real. And I know that on this journey, thank you for the water. Water is life. I actually get my drinking water from a natural spring over here by the house. And then I put it into um, ceramic, but they're not ceramic. They're made of earth, like clay jugs, which is actually my counterpart's business. One of the aspects of his business is there are those clay jugs, and they're really good, um, even for tap water. So I think I'm going to finish this up here. I'm just going to be here for a little while. I'm out with the dogs. I feel like I have to get out into nature. I have been this last week just kind of letting myself off the hook, saying, just saying, you know what? I'm not even going to try I'm just letting myself do whatever. I'm not even going to try to um, force myself on anything. Well, I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to do what comes. And a lot of what's coming is crying. I'm finding myself still a little bit running. Like this morning, I got up and I couldn't stay in the house, and I'm still out of the house. I went back to the house and then left again. Seems like I just want to be out in nature. And the thoughts keep coming up, so I'm just allowing them to come up. Um, I'm not forcing myself. I'm just allowing them to come up and to lead one to another. Um, I know that I need to get control over all of those thoughts and everything, but I want to see them. I want to see them play out. I want to see how the thoughts come up. I want to look at the truth straight in the face. So whatever's coming up, look at it, decide if it's a story, decide if it's real, and eliminate all the stories and just try to get into the now, see what's creating the story, if it's true, what it's based on, what emotion is it causing me, what is at the core of that emotion, what insecurity is at the core of that emotion. So it always comes back to unworthiness, which the opposite of unworthiness is knowing your worth, which means knowing that you are divine, knowing that you are of God, knowing that you have what to give to the world, knowing that you are special and unique and the only one like you that has your specific message for the world, especially if you're on this spiritual awakening journey. It's a given. Everybody is, but there's different layers of awareness, and it's a privilege to have even awoken as far as I have awoken. Um, and I'm going for the light. I'm going for the light. Full volume. I'm going for the light. I have this. This is an opportunity. I'm going to go through whatever obstacles come at me. I'm just going to go through them. I'm gonna just keep on going. I'm towards the light. And really, honestly, I don't think that we can do any different, because otherwise you stay in pain, you stay in looping. So it's like even to just come out of the pain, you have to go for the light. So I'm going for the light. And with that, I'm going to get off and just be here for a little while. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much for if you've been here all the way till now. Thank you so much for going through all of that with me. Um, I'm actually pretty happy with all of that. And I really appreciate you guys watching, and thank you.